Welcome to the North Park Podcast, where pastors and people connect. This is the place to get to know your pastors as they address theology, ministry, and more. Join us now for today's conversation.
Well, hello and welcome to the North Park Podcast. My name is Luke Kiergaard, and I'm here with Luke Johnson and Drew Warner. And we're back. I was about to say we're back together, but I guess we have recorded one since you did the episode without me. But it's always a joy, is it not?
Always.
Yeah, and before, we're kind of pivoting a little bit from our notes. As we sat down here, we talked about some potential hot take questions, which we don't want to fatigue our listeners because you guys did like a lengthy hot take section 2 episodes ago. And then we jokingly
by the time we were done, it was a very cold take.
Yeah.
Cooled off.
Yeah, what is the definition of a hot take? It's like, it's a brief answer.
It's hot off the press.
Hot off the press.
Yeah. It just came off the griddle. Thinking like diner terms. Pancakes, eggs. I'm Kevin DeYoung.
What do you think about that?
My hot take is that's the best part of my day so far.
Did we talk about that were we recording when we talked about that?
No, we were. Play it again. I'm Kevin DeYoung.
The music makes it funnier for some
I'm
reason.
Kevin DeYoung.
Dude, that's it.
What about hot take?
Who said it best?
Who said it best?
Yeah. Back to back. What about a hot take? We talked about Halloween stuff for a good chunk of last week's episode. And today's episode talking about Reformation is because it's the same day as Halloween, right?
Reformation Day is October 31st.
Yeah. Halloween is the same day as Reformation Day.
Reformation Day came first because...
It's and it's pure and holy.
Yeah. So we had like more... I guess I asked some fun stuff like a memorable costume. I haven't edited that yet, so maybe I'll cut all that out. But do you have a hot take on Halloween as a whole? As a pastor, Halloween can be kind of a dicey subject around church circles.
I don't think I have anything unique after everything we said last week. I mean, I feel like
a hot take would be, I'm the lead pastor at North Park Community Church, and I love Halloween.
I'm not going to say that out loud. Well, I don't love it, but I do think it's an enjoyable time to especially rub shoulders with neighbors that typically you only see in their car pulling out of the driveway or pulling into the driveway, and I think there's a lot of opportunity in it.
I feel like we could give a bunch of hot takes that we haven't thought through, and then after saying them out loud, we determine whether or not they're good hot takes.
We could.
Halloween is peak evangelism time.
Okay, here, hot take. Oh, no, I'm not going to say it. Man, this is all too dicey.
Can I say one other thing about that?
Yeah.
Why is it called? Why do they call it fun size? What's fun about getting less candy?
It's fun for the sickos that package it.
Yeah, you have to be a sicko if you think that's fun.
Yeah.
Should it be like prince size? Or like princess size?
Man, it's all spin business right there. You just put fun on it, and all of a sudden people like it. That's not.
What about the? Is it the Laffy Taffy that has the
jokes?
Yeah. What if
that's the only thing good you get out of that package? By the way, Laffy Taffy is maybe the worst candy ever invented.
It sticks with you.
It's gross.
In your teeth, I mean.
Yeah.
It's like sticky wax flavored, like sugar flavored sticky wax.
The worst is the banana.
Dude, banana is my favorite, man. No way. Yeah,
you like artificial banana flavor?
I do.
Oh, man, I don't know if
There's my hot
take. That's a hot take.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
I mean, I love real banana too, but I also do love artificial
Real banana is awesome. Artificial banana is...
Oh, man, I love it.
And mine is... We could serve it to cats.
I love it.
It's cat food.
So, what's the go-to for... Is it the Laffy Taffy for that artificial kick?
Goodness, I feel like there used to be some other
Runts.
things.
You're thinking of
runts.
Runts. You're thinking of Runts.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
even-
actually fruit shaped.
Yep.
Yep, love me some runts. Love me some runts, man. It's been a minute.
They
This
make
is
those
good to know for next Pastor Appreciation Month.
Do they
Just
make,
like a
do they
giant
make Runts
box of
anymore?
yellow nerds.
What?
I don't think they make Runts anymore.
I don't think I've seen them in a spell. Yeah, but yeah, you could follow up this nice. I've got it with me right here. This 100% goat skin Bible with like 10 pounds of runts.
10 pounds of runs.
What
That's the
about,
episode
what about
title.
Juji fruits?
I don't remember
Juji fruits.
actually having those. I don't know ever in my life.
Really? They're like staple movie theater candy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with them. I don't know if I've
Swedish
ever
fish.
actually eaten them. No, I don't like Swedish fish.
Oh no!
that much.
Really?
I mean, they're good. I'm not against them, but I would probably never pick them over other things.
I think Luke and I have finally found something we
have
divide over.
A wedge. I feel like
There's a wedge
there's a relational wedge that's been driven between us, and I sense it.
Here, what about a hot take of buying concessions at like a sports game versus like movie theater snacks, popcorn stuff?
I try to do neither of those things because we talked about the sports games one before in a podcast, but I think it's all a scam, man.
Yeah.
It is so overpriced. I mean, the upcharge on that has got to be like 600%.
So I'm a part of a Facebook group that's for. I don't know how I stumbled across this, but it's for Baptist pastors, and I'm a part of it. And like it's a national kind of Facebook group. Like it's very large.
You were a
And-
Baptist pastor at one point,
Yeah, I was.
your previous life.
Yeah, and I'm still Baptistic. But either way, I just stumbled across this Facebook post, and I'm a part of it. And it used to be smaller, and you could like drop questions, and guys would just kind of like help think through some things. And I asked them one time because I was like really curious, like how the responses would fall. But here's the question: it's very similar to that. Is it morally acceptable to smuggle candy or home food or gas station food into the movie theater?
Oh, fascinating
Yeah,
question.
because it's like, are you rebelling against their authority as like the ones who own and operate the movie theater, and are you morally obligated to adhere to their signage, to their prohibition of no outside food or drink?
I've never seen that sign.
Oh yeah, it used to be there. I don't know.
Maybe
I
they
guess.
just gave up.
Maybe they did just give up.
It's always been like a no-brainer in my family, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, it was the same thing for me. Whereas, like, I mean, so me and John Wassel, who, we were buddies in high school, we used to make it a game to see how much we could smuggle in, and I took 20 tacos on my person.
Like one of the cases.
It was like the what do you call it, the grande box or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I had them in my pockets. I had them in my shirt, and my shirt tucked in, so it was like just like padding.
I
all
can
over.
imagine the smell.
How was nobody tipped off?
Kind of just smells like taco meat.
Yeah,
Here's how you get around that. You come in with like a Taco Bell visor on and
Yeah.
shirt, so
Oh,
it
yeah.
looks like you just came from
Cut
work.
off the shift.
It's like that's why he smells like tacos.
I mean, the game was always like based on who's the person taking the tickets. Is it somebody that's just there putting in their hours at minimum wage and they don't care what you walk in with? Or is it the person that feels like it is their job to be the law enforcement of the movie theater? And sometimes, it was digressing so much.
This is great.
We started to develop a little bit of a theory of if you walk in with confidence, with it visible, will they stop you? And if they don't stop you when it's visible, then is it wrong? Mm-hmm. And so we would bring in shakes. We'd just just carry it in, and people would like kind of look at it and then just sometimes let us in, sometimes tell us to throw it away.
Yeah. They either don't care or they just don't want to deal with.
Yeah, 100%.
They don't want the confrontation.
100%. Yeah. And you can tell when you've got like 3 teenage boys that are just, life is to be a handful to other people. Like that's their existence, being a handful.
Nice.
And who's got time for that?
Yeah.
We should edit all this out. Let's start fresh.
I like it. Fresh popcorn. I love movie popcorn. I feel like that's the thing that's borderline reasonably priced, especially if you get those buckets that are like free refills. But it is a unholy amount of popcorn.
It is,
and
but
somehow you're able to fit it in.
my wife and my son will go through a bucket before the movie starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically I am going out there to get the first refill before the movie has started.
Yeah. And then you like don't eat for a day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can talk about the Reformation, I guess. So will be coming out. What day is Halloween? Like day of the week?
Friday?
Be a couple days before Halloween.
Thursday or Friday?
Or better put, a couple days before Reformation Day. And this is kind of becoming a yearly tradition on the podcast. We probably have a yearly book rec episode, a yearly Christmas special, and we have a yearly Reformation Day special. So in the past, we've talked about, I couldn't tell you what we talked about the first one, but I know one time we did character studies, like brief character studies from the Reformation.
That must have been the first one, because last year for Reformation,
Solas.
You talked about the solas.
Yeah, we did like a series, I guess, didn't we?
Right.
Because my first guest appearance was
Limited Atonement.
Limited Atonement during your Reformation series.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So if you listen to last week's episode, Drew suggested that we talk about, I guess I forget exactly how you put it, but why should we still consider it important today or something like that? Or why should people care about it today?
Yes.
Something along those lines. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's the opening question is why should we still recognize the Reformation's importance in 2025? What's the anniversary? I remember the 500-year anniversary was a big deal.
Yeah.
That was like
2017. 1517 was the famous year.
Right.
And yeah, so October 31st, 1517.
So we're pushing 510 years.
We're getting close to 510.
That'll be a big one.
And 508 years.
Yes.
So
we round because we're pastors and math is hard.
Why, I guess, for the average churchgoer, why should they care about this event or bother to read about it or listen to us talk about it 508 years after the fact?
What do you think, Drew?
My first thought is,
but the way in which God exercises his power through the state and the church differs.
I won't do it again.
How many of those have you done?
Just 3. Yeah. Let me do the other one while we're here.
A lot of the best minds in Christian.
That's the one.
what's that?
He was recording this when I came and sat down, and I sat down like an old man. And so it picked up. I had no idea what he was doing.
I didn't know it recorded the mics while I'm recording my.
You're going to have so much editing to do today.
I know.
Holy cow.
We should scrap everything and start fresh.
So, going back to my answer, the reason why I think it is important, 2 reasons off the top of my head. One is it is just good for people to know their history. It's been said a million times over, but history tends to repeat itself. I like Mark Twain's quote a little better. History doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. I think that fits a little better.
I like that one.
But because the second reason is because history does repeat itself, it's important to know why the Reformation happened, because we are always at risk of it happening again.
Or of it needing to happen again.
I want to say needing to happen again, maybe, but we have a tendency to drift from what's important, from the gospel, from the centrality of Christ, from the 5 solas of the Reformation. We just do. And to think that somehow we hit the Reformation in 1517 and the church is fixed and we'll never revert back to works righteousness or losing the centrality of Scripture or the centrality of Christ is foolish. And so to remember the Reformation, what it fought for, what we learned from it, the things that we gained from it is valuable to help us maintain once for all the faith that was delivered to the saints.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's a good one.
And we'll say more, but I'm thinking now, backtracking, we should maybe, for anyone who's listening and doesn't know what we're talking about, like a brief, like super brief synopsis of what we mean when we're talking about the Reformation. What happened in 1517?
Yeah. The famous Martin Luther, who was an Augustinian monk and had just this revelation, from the scriptures that the righteous are saved by faith. And as his eyes were opened to that, he ended up seeing the gospel in its purity and started to proclaim that. And he is, on October 31st, famous for nailing the 95 Theses on the church doors of Wittenberg. And the 95 Theses are not just like reclaiming the gospel. It's also just like a lot of things that he was railing against the Catholic Church for, in ways that he had discerned that they had deviated from the scriptures. And it was a call to reform the Catholic Church. He was not originally aiming to be, a separatist and to start this whole new thing. He wanted to see the Catholic Church return to the original truths and teachings of the scriptures. And nailing the 95 Theses to the church door in Wittenberg would have been kind of a normal thing to like create, just public discourse and conversation to get people talking about stuff in hopes of having a productive conversation. But what was pretty critical about this time is just a little bit before him was this new invention called Gutenberg's printing press. And it was actually some of the students of Luther who took his 95 Theses, had them printed and distributed like all over Germany. And that's kind of how it got set ablaze as like the wildfire of a movement that it was.
Yeah, that's good. I totally forgot to bring a book in here. I was going to read a quote. Drew, you'll know this. Have you read Ragamuffin Gospel?
No, man, I've heard it.
Dude, you need to.
Yeah,
take my copy.
I've had it recommended many times, but never read it.
I was reading this little bit a couple days ago and was thinking it'd be good to say on here, but I think he's quoting someone else here, Robert Ferrara Capone. Does that sound familiar? Mm-hmm. He said, the Reformation was a time when men went blind, staggering drunk because they had discovered in the dusty basement of late medievalism a whole cellar full of 1,500-year-old, 200-proof grace, bottle after bottle of pure distillate of Scripture, one sip of which would convince anyone that God saves us single-handedly. The word of the gospel, after all those centuries of trying to lift yourself into heaven by worrying about the perfection of your bootstraps, suddenly turned out to be a flat announcement that the saved were home before they started. Grace has to be drunk straight, no water, no ice, and certainly no ginger ale, neither goodness nor badness, not the flowers that bloom in the spring of super spirituality could be allowed to enter into the case.
Dude, that's a vivid metaphor.
I know. That makes you want to read the book, doesn't it?
Should go read it.
Anyways, yeah. I thought that was a cool quote from a probably not so reformed source. I think that's one of the remarkable things about the Reformation is how so many today will give people who follow like Reformed theology a lot of flack, and they strongly disagree with some of the doctrines that they would fight for. But like it's pretty universally recognized the importance of the Reformation.
Yeah. There's a church on Maple Crest on your way to Shigsum Pit from here. But they just have on their sign, which that church is famous for their puns that they use on their signs, but on their sign. But right now, all it says is Reformation, 95 Theses, Martin Luther. Like, that's it. I was like,
enough said.
Yeah, no other context?
Epiphany Lutheran Church.
Epiphany Lutheran, okay, yeah. So
Luther had an epiphany.
Yeah, right. So yeah, no, I mean, if you're Protestant, then you can trace your roots back to Luther and the Reformation, and so like that's a wide swath. There's a whole lot of differentiation that has come about, over the course of time.
Yeah, even like the Lutheran Church itself.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you look at church history, you would kind of think it's somewhat of a far cry maybe from what Luther had in mind of where things should end up.
In all fairness, depends on the Lutheran.
True, yeah.
There are some evangelical, gospel-centered, solid Lutherans, some that I enjoy reading and learning from.
Yeah, totally.
Even some that I've taught here in Fort Wayne at our local Lutheran seminary that are solid dudes.
Yep.
Yeah. I think with all of that, though, we can say that you can get by just fine being a faithful, church-going brother or sister in Christ and not know anything about the Reformation, right? It's not like...
Yeah, I mean, historically, yes, but I mean, you're going to know something about the Reformation if you're in a church. If you're in a Protestant church, then you are likely in a church that is emulating some of the results and teachings of, what the Reformation was trying to do and recover. I mean, for instance, like, the 66 books of the Bible that we use that we call, canon, like that's our source of authority. One of Luther's problems with the Catholic Church was that there was an elevation of the Pope and the Catholic Church tradition that was elevated to the same level of authority as the Bible. And I mean, most Protestant churches are probably not going to, they're going to elevate the scriptures. They might not all handle the scriptures the same way or teach the same things from the scriptures, but there is going to be probably, like, if you were to write down on paper what's your authority, they would say the Bible, and so their fidelity to that is going to probably vary. But so, I mean, you're still going to, you're influenced, I guess this is what I'm trying to say, is you're influenced by the Reformation, whether you're aware of it or not, if you're in a Protestant church. And to Drew's point, there's something very wise and helpful and protective in kind of knowing what that battle was about, so that we can continue to hold fast to those same things that we're contended for. And so I think it's really important. You don't have to be a scholar on all of it, but I think it's really important to know at least like some of the main players and some of the main issues that were at stake, that they were fighting for, because it's the gospel, it's the scriptures, the gospel, grace through faith in Christ in accordance with the scriptures to the glory of God.
Yeah, I think there's also just that aspect of like anything you love, you want to know more about. And so if you love Jesus and his church, like it would only be natural to kind of look back to this rich history of all the saints who went before you. And just, we've talked about this several times on the podcast in different episodes, but with church history in general, it just makes sense to at least look into it some, because kind of the whole nothing new under the sun idea of, we talked about it recently with the false Judgment Day predictions and like how that's nothing new, that's been going on for so long. And so whatever doctrinal disputes or controversies might come up, more than likely, probably like 99% chance it's been covered at some point in history.
Yeah.
And
right.
That's why people who love church history and teach church history, that's, I think, one of the main reasons behind it, is it equips us for living for the faith and knowing what we believe in today. Because, I don't know, we don't have to debate everything, because a lot of stuff has already been pretty thoroughly debated and documented. So here's a hot take question that you knew was coming. Is North Park a Reformed church?
The answer is yes. I think the question is, what do you mean by Reformed? In which case we could explore a couple different avenues. So
Yeah, connect that description of a Christian or a church reformed, connect that to the Reformation.
Yeah.
Is it more than that, or?
So, there's one, this is kind of going backwards, and then I'll come back to the question, but there's another Latin phrase that was, around the Reformation time, and it's semper reformanda, which means always reforming. And, to Drew's earlier point that he started with was, history is bound to repeat itself. And so, the church is always reforming because naturally we drift. And so it takes this labor and effort to theologically tend the garden, so to speak, to keep out the weeds and to keep the right theological gospel fruit growing the right way. And so we're always contending for holding on to the gospel as was, given to the apostles and is handed down to the church. And so I think, in that sense, yes, we're a Reformed church because we are in alignment with that, always reforming in the sense that we're always laboring to keep the gospel central in our teaching and in our practice and in, the ways we try to advance the gospel. So that's...
As an aside, how would you say we are actively doing that to keep the gospel, what does that look like practically?
Yeah. I think one of the best gifts for me has been you guys, in the sense that you guys likewise share that same heart for the gospel being central in our preaching and teaching. And so being, I think, in community with other guys that are singing the same song is an accountability mark almost for me, to make sure that my sermons aren't drifting down a legalistic type of avenue. For me, so I use a Bible software that I build my sermons in, and it has a template that I created, and my final point is to the gospel. And so it's always, for me, when I'm getting ready to write my sermon, I pull up that template, and as I walk through, every week, my sermon is going to culminate in grace, because I've got that point right there that just keeps me going back to it. How does this tie to the gospel, this passage? So that's just kind of a smaller thing that I do. I think we encourage good authors and good pastors, good movements and organizations that are gospel-centered. We promote those to our people, but also, we're reading and engaged with it as well, as just a way to continue to feed our own souls with good gospel-centered stuff. So I'd say those are just a couple of things.
I just want to, I guess, in regards to defining what it means to be reformed.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to that yet.
I think it's helpful to clarify that in a lot of ways, the Reformation is more about retrieval than creating something new. A lot of people like to think of the Reformation as creating something new and almost evolving.
Yeah. It was more closer to a revival.
Yeah. And you see this especially with some more liberal Reformed churches who will grab a hold of the always reforming tagline that kind of came out of the Reformation, and therefore will change their positions on things that we would argue and firmly stand on as the scripture being against, such as the LGBTQ plus agenda. Yeah. And they'll say, well, semper reformanda, we're always reforming, so we've reformed on this. But that's a complete misunderstanding of what the Reformation was about. The Reformation was reforming the Catholic Church, but it was really pointing the Catholic Church back to retrieving the doctrinal biblical roots that the church was founded on by the apostles and the prophets and the early church fathers. And so I think it's just important, when we talk about semper reformanda, we're not talking about always changing what the church is about, but always reforming ourselves back to the centrality of Christ and what Scripture holds as truth is in the inerrant word. So I just wanted to add that
That's a
clarification.
really important nuance. I'm glad you said that.
But I would agree with the things that we do to try to make sure we're holding to the Reformation principles. Can I take the liberty to define how we would claim to be Reformed?
Yes, you may.
Now, I will say this is, depending on who you talk to, being Reformed means different things.
Yes.
So I'll define in the city of Fort Wayne what Reformed means is interchangeable with Calvinism.
Yes.
Those two terms are interchangeable in the city of Fort Wayne. Now, I say that because outside of the city of Fort Wayne, Reform takes other meanings. There's two main streams of thought in evangelicalism outside of Fort Wayne, what Reformed means. One is Reform means you hold to the 5 solas of the Reformation. You are a Calvinist. You hold to expository preaching and the centrality of Scriptures in pretty much everything that you do. And would align yourself broadly with the broader Reformed world and going back to Martin Luther up through John Calvin, the Puritans, Charles Spurgeon, Martin Lloyd-Jones, J.I. Packer, R.C. Sproul, John Piper, Tim Keller.
What a crew.
If you align yourselves with their general overall understanding of theology broadly, their approach to the gospel, and their value on Scripture, you most likely call yourself Reformed. In Reformed circles, I think that's how broadly evangelicalism understands Reformdom. Within the Reformed movement itself, it kind of breaks down, and you have, I will say, there are people who are very strict, and they'd say you are not truly Reformed unless you hold to a covenant understanding of theology, so covenant theology, and paedobaptism, so baptizing babies.
Yeah.
And I would say the folks who hold to that are a very small minority. For example, Kevin DeYoung, my vocal doppelganger.
I'm Kevin DeYoung.
That's the guy. He is a Presbyterian, holds to covenant theology, holds to paedobaptism. He would not say that Al Mohler, who is a Baptist, is not Reformed.
Yeah. No, Kevin DeYoung is clearly Reformed.
Well done.
But with that, he would probably still invite, I don't know about Al Mohler, but a Baptist brother who he wouldn't consider strictly clearly Reformed. He'd invite him to his Reformed conference, probably still.
Yeah, but there are for sure some very strict Presbyterians who would say you are not Reformed. They would not acknowledge the Reformed Baptist Church as truly being Reformed.
They would say Reformed Baptist is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Correct.
Emphasis on the moron.
Yeah.
Probably,
They would.
But I would, to be fair, that's not most Presbyterians that we would read and learn from, whether it be Kevin DeYoung or Tim Keller, who are really great guys, or Presbyterians who I disagree with on baptism.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that clears up a little bit about about the Reformed definitions. But I would say for North Park Community Church, we are Reformed in the sense that we are Calvinists, that we hold to the 5 solas of the Reformation, and we are obviously clearly Protestant.
Mm-hmm.
Would you add anything to that definition of our understanding of being Reformed?
No, I think that's a good general summation.
So the last thing, and this will obviously be a continuing topic throughout this podcast, I'm sure. And maybe next year we should do a Solas series. Because we started with Doctrines of Grace, which, to your point, maybe wasn't a great starting.
No, those are the 5 points, but the 5 pillars.
5 pillars?
Those are the solas.
Okay. Kind of a fun question, and maybe also a challenge. because we talk about Reformation Day, but do we really celebrate it? Maybe you guys totally do, and I'm about to find out. But, Reformation Day is on what is commonly observed as Halloween, and some of us may or may not be doing something related to that, or going to a fall festival or something, some sort of festivities around candy and cute costumes. But how will you celebrate Reformation Day this year? And if you don't typically actually do something in observing that day, I challenge you to come up with something now to do in honor of our brother Martin Luther and such a significant milestone in church history. We have talked on the podcast before about you dressing up as Martin Luther as a teacher at Lakewood Park, but you don't have that responsibility this year. So
I don't. I did have a student who made a cake for my class, and she screen printed Martin Luther's face on it.
Oh.
It was awesome. And so we ate cake and celebrated.
I thought it was going to be a door, and then you got to smash the cake by putting the theses on it.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think?
We've never, as a family, or I've never been a part of a church that celebrates Reformation Day. I am very much open to the idea.
I'm mostly thinking you as individuals, are you going to
Well, what will happen, unquestionably, talking about how, what's one of the ways that we, kind of keep Reformation flame going, in our church is, we read and listen to people who are pro-Reformation doctrines. And so invariably, the week of, especially the day of, there will be a ton of TGC, Gospel Coalition articles and blogs and sound bites and, short videos of R.C. Sproul, Raylan, doing his thing. And so I always will read a few of those just to kind of put it back in front again. And so, yeah.
It's really lame.
I could go nail some stuff.
I'm thinking of
church.
I'll be honest. I think they're just the nature of the Reformation, what it was pushing back against. It's kind of built in to not celebrate those people because the Catholic Church has historically elevated its saints to a place of almost demigod status.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And in it to the point where a lot of reformers considered it idolatry. And so it's kind of built in the Reformation to not celebrate the things of the church in that way because all glory goes to God. So why would we glorify Martin Luther, who was saying, nope, sola Deo Gloria?
That's such a reformed answer.
It's very reformed.
We said we were reformed, so.
I thought one of you guys was going to drink a German beer out of a boot or something.
Why a boot?
I don't know. Surely Martin Luther did that at some point.
Are we in Tombstone, Arizona now?
Not a cowboy boot.
Monk's boot.
Did monks wear boots?
I don't know. Dude, I don't know how you're going to hodgepodge this podcast.
I think it's going to be great.
Do you don't have any other questions about the Reformation?
We could come up with some.
How about if you are interested in the Reformation and want to know more?
See, I feel like we've answered that before.
Have we?
But maybe not with you. We've probably gotten limited atonement resources from you.
Sure did.
Yeah, do you have like you're saying, all the content that will come out from all these sources, is there a specific one you'd tell people to watch for? Podcast or TGC-ish website?
I was just thinking, if I would say the number one ministry I would go to for Reformation resources, honestly, is Ligonier Ministries.
I would agree 100%. I was just thinking R.C. Sproul, His Holiness of God, he's got a chapter on Luther and Luther's conversion story. And that was probably what really got me interested in reading and learning more about Luther's life, is just a book I read early on as a believer. And but yeah, Ligonier, I agree with Drew. It's going to be your best stuff coming out.
Yeah, they have a documentary, I believe. They have some other books that they've put together. Some of them are free online. You got to poke around. I don't know off the top of my head where they are, but I would highly recommend. If you want to know specifically about the history of the Reformation, not necessarily all the doctrinal things that we've talked about on here sometimes, but the actual event itself, they are probably, I think, the best resource out there.
Yeah.
There's some movies about Luther as well. I don't know if they're any good, but
There's supposed to be one that's really good. That was, I think it's just called Luther. That was like the premier historian on Martin Luther was like the consultant they used for it. So it's supposed to be pretty historically accurate.
that's the one I've heard of, but I haven't seen it, so I was hesitant to recommend it.
Yeah.
Also from Ligonier, I think it's from Ligonier, is the 5 Minutes Church History podcast.
Yes, great podcast.
I don't know if that's still going on, but
Believe
they're
it
all
is.
archived. But if you're interested in whether it's the Reformation specifically, I'm sure there's a bunch of episodes on that. But just church history in general, there's like hundreds of those, and they're literally like 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great resource.
Yeah,
If you want something a little longer,
there's
Piper,
5 hours in church history.
Yeah, that's right. Piper at his pastor's conference would always do a bio, and so you can listen to a conference message that's about an hour long on kind of sketching Luther's life and impact of his ministry, and it's pretty good. Good job sketching doing like a biographical sketch, and then also, kind of emphasizing the doctrinal contribution that we should care about.
Another good future Reformation Day series or episode would be like lives directly impacted by Luther. So like we could talk about Melanchthon, isn't it like John Wesley got saved reading his commentary on Romans or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
I feel like there's a good handful of significant stories about people you knew. Or we could just talk about what a character he was.
Oh,
He was a
'Cause
character.
there's a lot to tell there.
100%.
There's a really big book, or also I think there's like a set of 3 books called What Luther Says or something like that. And there's some really good stuff in it, like profound theological stuff, but also just like a bunch of really wild stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
he
There's
was a
also
piece
stuff
of
we
work.
wouldn't want to repeat on this podcast, I'm sure.
100%. 100%.
Do you want to hear a funny Martin Luther story that has nothing to do with Martin Luther, but with me?
From Sunday?
So this past Sunday, I was teaching in my class on our ABF, and I was talking about Martin Luther, and I meant to say how we didn't need to be like Martin Luther because of the gospel where we self-flagellate, and instead of flagellate, I said flatulate. Which, if you know anything about Martin Luther,
He
and some
talked
of
about that.
and some of the funny things he
Talked a lot
said,
about
it actually
flatulation.
kind of fit.
They
because
both
he did
apply.
He did talk about flatulation.
They might have happened simultaneously in some instances.
And
Did you
needless
catch it in the moment?
Oh, I mean, I knew as it was coming out of my mouth, I knew what I was saying, and
Yeah.
everybody's faces, and my wife is just in the back row, just cracking.
Oh,
up.
that's awesome.
Yes.
Because sometimes, like, when you're preaching, like, your mind is thinking about what you're about to say, and you don't always catch when you just, like, when an accident like that
It was
slips
like
out.
one of those Brian Regan moments where he talks about like the words are coming out of your mouth and you can see them, like you wish you could catch them and
Grab
put them
them,
back
pull
in,
back.
but you can't. It was one of those moments, and I was like, yeah, I know what I just said.
Oh, that's awesome.
But Martin Luther, what a guy.
He's a guy.
Yeah, we could do a series on him, I'm sure. All right. Well, if you have more questions about this topic, please send them in through our website. We did get a submission of someone asking us to do part 2 of Revival.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if that means we need to keep talking about the Loveless book or just do another episode on Revival.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, maybe you could send another submission clarifying. But
Oh, 'cause we
they
don't
said
ever
Revival
send it.
part 2.
Revival part 2. All right.
So next week, I'm not 100% sure what we'll be talking about, but I think it's going to be great. So,
I think we can only go up from here.
yep.
There's only one direction.
All right. Thanks for listening.
I'm Kevin DeYoung. I'm Kevin DeYoung. I'm Kevin DeYoung. I'm Kevin DeYoung.